Hey, this is Ramon, Channels Alpha 4, and first off, nobody get excited. It is winter. This is a necessity. This is not a religious statement. This is Catholic Reads the Quran. I am now starting Surah 4, the women. Oh, before I get into that, okay, so I want you to look at the title of this video or the title of this playlist. It says Catholic Reads the Quran. It does not say Muslim reads the Quran. I've had a few interesting challenges, mostly from trolls, to be honest with you. There's one that challenged me on the ideas of the Trinity, which is something I've never brought up in any of my stuff. So I responded. I probably should have known, but I did. And now I have a Quran onlyist coming at me for reading the hadiths and reading the commentary. So let me break this down for you. Really simple, okay? Just as a Christian, I am a Catholic, so therefore I am not a Bible-only Christian, okay? I am also not reading this as a Quran-only person. I'm reading the hadith and the commentaries because it is the only way to understand some of these passages. Otherwise, some of these interpretations would be way wild, and there would be a lot more negative things that I'd be saying if it wasn't for the commentaries and the hadiths clarifying some of the more, let's call them problematic passages. This stuff is very important when talking to a Western audience. It explains much more than a Western audience would comprehend, because a Western audience does not have the culture and the enculturation to understand this material. Now, on top of that, okay, just like I am not a KJV-only Christian, I don't have one preferred translation of the Quran. I'm using multiple Qurans, multiple translations, and that's fine with me for the purposes of intellectual curiosity. So let's be fair here. This is not atheist reads of the Quran. This is not polytheist reads of the Quran. This is not Hindu reads of the Quran. This is Catholic reads of the Quran. I believe in one singular God. I am taking this material as seriously as I can. So, you know, let's have some peace between us, okay? All right. Continuing on. Surah 4, the women. Ayat 3 through 16. Yes, I finally know the difference between ayat and ara, okay? Ara singular, ayat's plural. Yeah. This begins with humankind being created from a single soul, a singularity. I think that's an interesting statement. It reminds me of Calvinism, how people exist before they are created, not like Catholicism, where people are created, where the soul is created at conception. So I think that's an interesting change. Verse number 3, while commonly seen as a verse about just treatment of orphans, the passage is actually concerning the marriage practices, here limiting a man to 4 wives. Now, okay, so I'll read. I don't know the copyright rules if I'm allowed to show you guys the print. I know that I want to do that when I can. And I don't know if it's appropriate for me to show the Islamic writing. Is that right? Arabic writing. When I do the print. So if you guys could let me know down below if I'm allowed to show the Arabic on camera, if that would be offensive to you guys or not. And let me know also, if anyone knows, is it violating copyright to actually put the actual words in print on the screen or not? So for now, I'm just going to read, because that is totally okay, because there's a little thing up front, because I'm an American. I'm allowed to share more words than other nations. Ain't that fun? Oh, copyright laws. Okay, Surah 4, Ara 3. If you fear that you will not deal fairly with the orphans, then marry such women as seem good to you, 2, 3, or 4. But if you fear that you will not deal justly, then only one, or those whom your right hand possesses. Thus, it is more likely that you will not commit injustice. Okay? And that's from the Harper 1. And since you guys have all kind of said don't go with the penguin, I am going to go with the Masla. Again, this is Surah 4, Ara 3. And if you fear that you cannot do justice to orphans, marry such women as seem good to you, 2 or 3 or 4. But if you fear that you will not do justice, then marry only one, or that which your right hand possesses. This is more proper, that you may not do injustice. Continuing on, 4. Women here are treated more as property and consumables, but here you pay the wife, not the father, the dowry, which that I really like, okay? That is very progressive. That's progressive even to the 1970s, okay? When people were still in countries where there's still arranged marriages, like in Israel. I mean, this paying the wife the dowry, not the family or the father, is an amazing advancement. So that good on you, good job. That's cool. Ara 5, Ara 5. A warning not to take advantage of the feeble-minded, but it can also be read as a guide for guardianship, prohibiting the entrusting of property to non-Muslims. So I did not like that. I did not like you're not supposed to give property to non-Muslims. Now, I know that some of you might want me to read on that one, but I don't really think I need to. You can say it's cultural or whatever. That's fine. I just don't like that line. Just to be clear. Yes, I'm coming from the fact that I'm not a Muslim. Okay, that bothers me. If you can't understand that, I mean, I don't know what you're even listening for. Ara 6. Sound judgment in the age of maturity, a license to take what you need, even from the disadvantage. So this one I probably should read out loud. If it comes down to survival. All right, so this didn't sound right to me when I read it the first time. And test the orphans until they reach the age of maturity. Then, if you perceive in them sound judgment, deliver unto them their property, and consume it not wastefully, and in haste before they come of age. Whoever is rich should abstain, but whoever is poor should partake thereof in an honorable way. But when you deliver unto them their property, bring witnesses on their behalf, and God suffices as a reckoner. Now, here's my problem with that. Okay, 2 things. And I realize that this is simple, like even in today's law, that you wouldn't give someone who's mentally disabled, for example, when Britney Spears showed that she was mentally incapable, they took away the right for her to manage her money and gave the right to her parents. Okay, I'm not saying that that's not the case. I'm just saying it doesn't sound good. It might be good, but it doesn't sound good. It goes against common sense. Okay, which most things that are real end up going against common sense anyway. So that's, common sense isn't all that sensible. But anyway, here it says, test the orphans until they reach the age of maturity. Then, if you perceive in them a sound judgment, deliver unto them their property. But if you don't see that they have a sound judgment, you keep their property? It just sounds a little, And then there's that you need witnesses, which is a good thing. But then it says if you don't have witnesses, just swearing to, well, I guess you don't swear to God what do you do? Because I don't think you guys swear to God. So what do you? Anyway, God alone is a good enough witness, but I mean, people lie. So how are you gonna check that? All right. I don't think this one needs a second reading from the other translation. It's pretty clear. And it defines adulthood at either the age of 15, 17, or 18. Again, that's from the commentary in the Hadith. According to the commentary in Hadith, what it's saying is that maturity means either 15 years old, 17-year-olds, or 18-year-old. Now, later on, this is going to be an issue again with the way that non-Muslims interpret the Quran. But let me say this. At this exact time period, it was very common in the entire world for 15-year-old girls to marry 30-year-old men. Or to put it in reverse, it was very common in the entire world at this exact time period and earlier for 30-year-old men to marry 15-year-old girls. Is it disgusting? Yeah. Is it a problem? Yeah. But it was what was happening. So if the number is correct at 18, that is very progressive and somehow matches today's moral standard. So I don't really buy into the 18 number. It's probably 15 because that is what Rome would do. That is the same practices that was happening in Israel. That's the same practice in Egypt. So 15 was a common marriage age for women, while 30 was a common marriage age for men from the 15th century and then before. So going all the way back to at least 1000, if not 2000 BC, 15 was marrying age for women. It just was. Is it a problem? Yes, but historically that is what it was. As you continue reading, you find that the Quran does not trust people to live up to their commitments without a community. That's important. Let me say that again. That the Quran does not trust people to live up to their commitments without a community. So if you have a community around you, yes, the Quran says, okay, you'll be a good person. But if you're by yourself, the Quran doesn't have a very high opinion of people. In fact, it has a very low opinion of human nature, which I found a little sad, to be honest. Then we get to an obligation of inheritance rights, but doubling the value of the male and halving the value of the female. It does have cause to protect the children, and it does have cause to protect the parents. So included is paying off debts and even what goes to you, to the male. So I thought that was interesting that it includes, like, almost like modern legal law. It includes who gets what. Shabir Ali has actually talked about this on the Quran Speaks, and I watched that. It's a good program. I'm not Canadian, by the way, so I don't get that program. I have to watch it online. It's 11. Sorry, it was 11. God enjoins upon you concerning your children, unto the male a share equal to that of 2 females. Okay, and I'm going to stop there. Now, later on, there'll be a much more clear passage on that. But let's see how it reads in the other one, in the other translation. This is from the Mahala Muslim one. This is surah 4, Ara 11. Allah enjoins to you concerning your children. For the male is the equal of the portion of 2 females. That doesn't sound good, guys. I get it that you can make the argument that, well, at least women are getting inheritance. That's not a fair share. In today's world of modern justice or social justice, or whatever you want to call it, that's not a fair share. Okay? All right, let's continue on. The Islamic formula for repentance was an interesting formula. And then lastly, at around 22, I believe, somewhere around 22 up to 24, is the prohibitions against the pre-Islamic Arab marriage practices. Basically, it outlaws all forms of incest, including don't marry your stepchildren, don't marry your stepbrothers or stepsisters, don't marry your nephews or your aunts. So, like, it's a good law. So it's a good common sense law. All right, so that is it. I now have to edit this. I'll talk to you guys next time.